Hey there, and welcome to another episode of the WaltInPA Motovlog. This is a supplemental episode with a little bit of a family story to go along with it. I say that this is a supplemental episode because I'm a bit ahead of schedule. So I believe it was back in episode 2, I talked about how I like to set mini goals for myself. I like to baby step myself to success.
Baby steps through the office. Baby steps out the door. It works. It works.
But generally what I do whenever I set any sort of goal for myself is I find little milestone goals to accomplish along the way. It helps keep me motivated, and it's just fun to be able to check things off of your list. So it's just something that has worked for me for quite a while. So when I launched the WaltInPA YouTube channel, one of those mini goals was to produce 8 podcasts. I keep getting motovlogs and podcasts mixed up. My goal was to produce 8 motovlogs over the course of 8 weeks. And to do that, I would simply need to get out on the bike once a week and record 10, 15 minute video. Longer if I decided to ramble a bit. But it seemed like a pretty comfortable schedule for me to be able to maintain. Being new to motorcycles, or being with this bike being new to me, I knew there was going to be a lot of excitement around it, and getting on it frequently was not something that I saw as being an issue, and it hasn't. I've been riding quite a bit lately. Any free moment I have, I try to jump on the bike and put a few miles in. But the schedule seemed very doable, and it's been working out well for me. In fact, I'm ahead of schedule. The plan was 8 podcasts over 8 weeks. Today is Saturday, I want to say June 20th. I have a video scheduled and published, or scheduled for publication on the 22nd, as well as the 29th. So I'm 2 episodes ahead, and here we are. This would wind up being a July 6th episode or something like that. But I didn't want to be that far ahead because something important came up, and I wanted to talk about it in the moment. That's the whole reason behind the Supplemental Motovlog, so that I can sort of get back in the moment and talk about something current and not wind up being 3 weeks behind. So now that you understand why this is a supplemental episode and not something that I would just normally schedule out ahead, now I think it's time for a little bit of a story time, and I think this will help put things into perspective with what I want to say later on. So without any further ado, here we go. When I was a kid, I grew up in the city of Philadelphia, and like any other city in the United States, it's got its problems, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty tight-knit community, dense population, people kind of piled on top of one another. So when this happens, you have, at least in my experience, family is usually pretty close together. I lived on one street, my grandparents lived pretty much around the corner. I had lots of family, all of which were from Philadelphia, who were kind of sprinkled in neighborhoods around the area. And if I really wanted to, I could walk to any one of their houses within 45 minutes. So with family surrounding me, I had an uncle. I actually wasn't, technically speaking, he wasn't my actual uncle. He's my great uncle, I guess, is the technical term. He was my father's uncle. My father's father's brother. If that doesn't sound confusing. But at any rate, my Uncle John, he was a Vietnam vet, and he was a no-nonsense guy. To put it very bluntly, he didn't take shit from anyone, and he had no filter. So if he had something he wanted to tell you, he he told you, and he really didn't care what you thought about it. And it wasn't like he was trying to be mean or anything. He just spoke his mind and, I don't know, didn't know any better, or didn't care any better. Whatever the reason, I love the guy for it. Especially as a kid. He would talk to me, he wouldn't talk to me like a kid. So when you're young, you always appreciate that, when you don't have adults talking to you with these kid gloves on. So my uncle, he owned a bar down in Fishtown, which was, it's a small community or small neighborhood inside of Philadelphia. And he would call me up during summer break when school let out, and he would say, hey, you want a job? And I'd come down, he'd pick me up from my house, drive me down to the bar. I'd mop the place, wipe the bar down, do whatever cleanup needed to be done, stock the beer coolers, that sort of thing. And he'd pay me a couple dollars. I was young at the time, so $10, $15 for 2 hours worth of work was pretty big money. To me, anyway. Whenever I got finished cleaning up, I had a couple of options. I could either just hang out and play bar games, shoot pool, throw darts, that sort of thing, while he did whatever he did before we left. Or a lot of times I would just hang out at the bar and talk to my uncle. He'd have the news on, the local news station, be drinking coffee with an insane amount of cream and sugar in it. I'd have a can of soda, and we'd just talk about life. And I remember this one time he was telling me about, I don't remember whether we were just talking about the bar or life in general, but he said, kid, one day if you ever have your own bar, there's a couple of things that you need to know. And I thought, all right, this is going to be kind of interesting. And he says, the first thing is, you never want to make a habit out of drinking at your own bar. You want to go out, spend time at other places, spread your money around, and get to know people. He said, you never have to go out and advertise your bar. You just want to be a good guy that supports other businesses. He said, and especially the bartenders. Take care of the bartenders, because they'll be able to do more for you than you could ever do alone. And I thought, okay, well, that's pretty good advice. And then he said, when those bartenders start to take care of you and they start sending business your way, he said, you gather up a group of your friends, big giant army of your buddies, and you go to that bar, you have a good time, you spend lots of money, and you make sure to take care of that bartender, because that's what life's all about. Someone helps you, you help them. No questions asked. He said, don't ever be the type of person that someone has to ask to have the favor returned. He said, that's just not cool. And if you're ever in a position where you need to ask someone to return the favor for things you've done for them, to help them out, give them a hand up, fuck them. You don't need those type of people in your life. And he kind of left it at that. Now, this is kind of strange advice for a 10-year-old kid, but it stuck with me for a very long time. And I think that, coupled with the fact that my uncle was very close to my father for a long period of time, so I had two male role models in my life that had the same mentality on loyalty and reciprocation and helping people out when they need it. I think that's kind of laid the groundwork for my opinion on just treating businesses right, treating people right, especially when they take care of you. I'm not the type of person where you should ever have to ask me to return the favor if you help me out. So at any rate, that's kind of the mentality that I grew up with. It's why I'm fiercely loyal to businesses that take care of me, and it's why I'm loyal to people, because I just appreciate that sort of thing. So you're probably wondering, why did I want to tell you that story? So that's what kind of hooks all this stuff together. So we've got a supplemental podcast, and we've got a family story about loyalty. So what does any of this have to do with anything? Well, I recently had an interesting experience where, as you know, this YouTube channel is very new. It's a couple weeks old at best. And when I started this channel, I really didn't expect much. assumed that if I had 2 to 3 views on a video in a given week, I thought, you know what, that's a good week. And comments, well, those will never come, so I don't even want to get my hopes up on those. It'll take a couple months to see my first comment. That's just how it works. You know, YouTube will be a ghost town until I get some sort of foothold, even the tiniest foothold. And that's where I set my expectations. And then the strangest thing happened. I published my first video. I discovered Motovlog.com. I got to know a couple of people there through the forums, and that of course led me to their YouTube pages, or their YouTube channels. And things were pretty cool. Where, you know, things got lively and jumping, at least on the forum anyway. I really didn't expect much from my channel. Again, it's still brand new. Why would anyone come visit me? So one day, the strangest thing happened. I got an alert that someone had left a comment on one of my videos. And shortly after that, another comment, and then another comment, and a couple of views, and a couple of subscriptions, and a couple of likes. And we're not talking big numbers here. I think my most viewed video is upwards of 10 views, but that's a damn sight more than the 2 or 3 that I was expecting when I got started. And my subscription count, I think, is at about 6. And I'm not quite sure how many likes I have. Probably, I don't know, 6, maybe 8 in total, spread out between the 2 videos. But in any case, I found this whole thing mind-boggling. Here I was, just some random guy riding a motorcycle in Pennsylvania with virtually no advertising, because at this time my Motovlog forum account was restricted to not be able to post links for anti-spam purposes. Not, you know, like, no malicious intent there. It was totally cool, and I really haven't had much of an interest in self-promotion just yet. I'm just having fun and enjoying myself. So these comments and subscriptions really caught me by surprise. I wasn't entirely sure where they were coming from, but really, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter where they're coming from. The important thing is that they are supporting me, because they're not. These aren't just, hey, nice video. You know, these are actual genuine comments of people taking the time to craft up something thoughtful and offer advice and more basically make my day. So I was genuinely impressed by these individuals, and as such, the words of my uncle kind of rang in my mind. If someone is going to lend you a hand, do something for you, help you out, make damn sure that you return the favor, because it's important. That's how the world goes around. People help you, you help them. That's just how my mind has worked for a long period of time, for most of my life. So the whole point of this video, the purpose of this supplemental motovlog, is to say thank you to these individuals and ask you that if you are not one of the very few people that left a comment or subscribed to the channel, if you just happen to stumble onto this video and you have seen nothing or have done nothing with the channel so far, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, and that is check out the links in the description, click through to the people that have helped me out and given me a first step, giving me a helping hand to get some sort of establishment going with the website, or with the YouTube channel, and check them out. I'm not asking you to blindly like and follow them, but just check them out. Take a look at their videos, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing, giving them a thumbs up. It would mean a lot to me, because I greatly appreciate the time they've taken to welcome me into the motovlog community. So, without any further ado, here are the individuals that I would like to thank. Well, now that the introduction is out of the way, I told you a family story, and then I followed it up with a thank you. I think it is time to let you be on your way. So, thank you for watching the WaltInPA YouTube channel. I appreciate all the support that I've received so far. If you like this video, please feel free to subscribe and hit the like button down below. And until next time, I will see you later. And it just really caught me by surprise. And I had more than a couple more than... Oh, that makes no sense at all. I need to reword that completely.